All right, there we go. Welcome, 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 everybody. As you're coming in, I just want to say hi, welcome. I'm really excited to spend some time with you all tonight and really dive into this topic of why your brand isn't working for you. So as you're coming in, go ahead and drop your name and state in the chat for me. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, either now or as I'm going through this information, feel free to comment so I can, say hey to you. I can answer your questions and we can just have a good time. Okay. All right. Awesome. Hey, Brandy. Good to see you. Got Brandy tuning in from Florida. Hi, hi, hi from California. Good to see you. It's been a while. Wow. Good to see you. All right. So, like I said, tonight we're going to be talking about why your brand isn't working for you. So, for those that don't know me, my name is Oksana Tatamy. I also go as the brand architect. People know me as the brand architect as well. And I'm a brand strategist here in Orlando, Florida. And I'm really passionate about helping people to learn more about branding and to get the tools that they need to really have their brand not only stand out, but work for them. So, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, right? So, as we're going through this information, please, please, please do not forget to like and share, and if there's anybody that you know could use this information or needs to hear this information, please, please, please share it with them so that they can have access to it as well. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. I don't want to take too long tonight. I want to get right into the meat of this. Okay. So here we go. Why your brand isn't working for you. We're going to talk about the three biggest reasons that brands don't stand out. Okay. So before we get to what I really want to talk about, let's kind of break a few things down first, right? So here's the reality: your brand is either working for you or it's working against you at this very moment, right? And it can kind of be a hard pill to swallow, but it's either working for you or it's working against you. And you really don't want to have a brand that just looks good, right, on the surface, but you want a brand that's actually positioned. Okay, positioning is very important. So your brand is a tool for authority, right? It's not just decoration. And so when you don't have that positioning in place, it's not really doing much for you. So decoration is what we don't want, right? Because that means your brand is not driving influence, it's not making impact, and most importantly, the reason why one of the reasons why we get into business, it's not making consistent income. So all these things are very important. So you can post, you can design, you can show up every single day in your space, but if people don't see you as the go-to authority in your industry, you're not positioned to win. Okay? And that could be why it feels like you're putting in all this work but not really seeing the results that you want to see with your brand and with your business. So, before I get into these reasons why, let's talk about what brand positioning actually is, just for the sake of giving clarity and definition to it. Okay. So, brand positioning is all about how your brand is perceived in the minds of your audience. Okay. So, it's whatever space that you are occupying in their mind when they think about your industry. So, positioning is going to determine whether or not that's a huge space, like they see you as the only option, or if you're just one of many options, right? That blends in with everybody else. So that's the importance of positioning. And effective positioning makes it really, really crystal clear who you are, who you serve, and why you are the best, if not the only choice for them to work with when it comes to what you do. And so without it, like we said earlier, your brand just ends up becoming more like a decoration. It's pretty, but it's powerless, right? And we don't want that. But with the right positioning, your brand becomes one of the most powerful tools that you can ever use to command attention, to build trust, and to establish your authority in your industry and in the marketplace. All right. So, one of the most common beliefs about branding, and one of the things that I'm really working hard to change within this industry, is the mindset that branding is mostly just about visuals. And yes, that is a huge part of what branding is about, right? It's important to have a timeless logo. It's important to have, a polished professional presentation. Don't get me wrong, right? It's great to have the colors and the fonts and all that great stuff. But the truth of the matter is, when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's not just about presentation, right? It's about how you're positioned, how you're perceived, and ultimately how you get paid. All right. So that's what branding is really about. So if you're not positioned as an authority, people are going to keep scrolling, right? They're going to keep second guessing. They're going to keep overlooking you. But when your positioning is clear And when it's strategic, that's when you actually start to stand out effortlessly, right? That's when people can see you, they can trust you enough to buy from you. All right. So that's what we're working towards tonight. That's the goal. All right. So, with that in mind, let's get into our topic and some of these reasons that I mentioned earlier, right? So, the reasons why brands don't stand out. Reason number one, you don't have enough clarity or conviction. Okay. This is really, really big, clarity and conviction. And if you have notes or a notepad or something, make sure you're writing some of this down because we're going to get into some things tonight. So, clarity and conviction, right? So, positioning is all about being different, all right? Not just being different, but more specifically, being direct, right? And being convicted about something. It's knowing exactly what you stand for. Okay. You have to know who you stand for. The only way to stand out is to stand for something. Okay. Make sure you write that part down. And why this matters? It matters because you have to be bold enough to plant your flag and stand 10 toes down in whatever it is that you believe about your industry. So if you're vague, your audience is going to be really confused about exactly what it is that you do, how you help them, who you serve. All these things have to be very, very clear for people to actually want to know more and want to buy from you. And so weak positioning looks like this. So if somebody, is asking what you do, oh, well, I help everyone with everything. Right? You don't want that. That's way too vague. It doesn't target anybody. It doesn't resonate with anybody. Or saying something like, I'm just here to inspire and encourage people. That's great. It's a beautiful thing, but it's not specific, right? It doesn't let somebody know, wow, they're talking directly to me. Okay. So you have to be able to get clear about what exactly you do, who you serve, and what your convictions are in your industry. So you don't want to be vague because vague means forgettable, right? If you're vague, if you're not really pinpointing anything, people are going to forget about it. It just is what it is. And so having that clarity and that conviction is what's going to position you as an authority as opposed to just another option. So let's talk about what strong positioning looks like. So if somebody asks you, what do you do? Strong positioning looks more like, oh, well, I help not just entrepreneurs, but let's say you help service-based entrepreneurs, right? And you help them to build premium brands that position them as industry leaders, right? That's specific. It tells people exactly who you help and how, right? Or you help coaches to refine their messaging to attract premium clients with ease, things like that. So being a lot more specific when people ask you exactly what you do is really going to help you because it helps you to stand out, right? And it makes it very clear exactly who you're talking to and who you're trying to reach. So it's not even just so much about the words that you use, but the stance that you take. So it's about being able to say, this is what I believe, this is who I serve, and this is why I'm the best at it. And you have to be willing to say that with your chest, right? This is why I'm the best at what I do. And you have to believe it. That's where that conviction comes in. Conviction is saying that whatever is coming out of my mouth, I believe it 100%. I am fully convinced that what I am saying is the truth. Because if you don't believe what you're saying, other people are not going to believe it either. So it starts with that inner conviction that you have about what you do and how you help people and the value that you provide in the marketplace. You have to be confident about that, period. Right? You have to be able to brag on yourself just a little bit, just a little bit. All right. So, strong positioning, let's be clear. Strong positioning, it number one, establishes a clear identity. So, your audience knows within seconds exactly what you stand for. Strong positioning defines who you serve, right? So, your ideal client should feel like you are literally talking directly to them, like you are all in their business, right? They should be like, wow, like she sees me or he sees me, right? That's how they should feel when they hear you talk about what it is that you do. And then also clarifying the value that you bring. You have to get used to talking about the value that you provide. You have to get used to telling people why you're the best choice for the problem, the specific problem that they're facing. Okay. And then it also reflects your convictions. So it lets people know that they can trust you because you have that clarity and that confidence. Because if you're unsure, they're going to be unsure too. Like, I don't know about that. Right. And you don't want that. So to fix your positioning, to really have that clarity and conviction, right? Here's some questions that you can ask yourself. I'm going to give you guys some questions that you can save and write down. Okay. So, question number one, who do I serve? Be as specific as possible with the answer to this question. Who do I serve? Don't just say women entrepreneurs, right? Are they service based, product based in a particular industry? Is there a specific like identifier that you have for these entrepreneurs? Like these are the things you have to think about, right? Question number two, What problem do I solve? What specific problem do I solve for this client, right? What are their challenges? I don't like saying pain points. I feel like it's a little overplayed, but their challenges. What challenges do they have, right? And what challenges do they have that I'm uniquely qualified to fix, right? Really get specific about these things. The third question you can ask yourself: what's the transformation that I help them to achieve? Be very clear about that outcome. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, because we're like so savvy in our industry, we can use jargon and language that other people may not be able to relate to. So you have to be able to break it down to like the simplest form and just say, what is really the outcome of working with me? What is the result that these people are going to get? How is their life going to change and transform after they experience working with my business? These are the answers you have to have. And then finally, last question that you can ask yourself: what belief do you hold that your industry needs to hear? Right? What stance are you willing to stand firmly on, even if it's not popular? What uncomfortable conversation are you willing to have with people that's going to move them and motivate them to change? Right? So these are some really important questions that you can ask yourself to really start getting that clarity and that conviction behind your brand and behind your business. Because when you're crystal clear about your stance and your positioning, your audience is going to be very clear about it too. So you have to be bold enough to declare that so you can start attracting the right people. I think a lot of times when we don't have that clarity and that conviction, it could be because we're kind of caught in that place of wanting to appeal to everyone. And in so doing, we end up appealing to no one, right? You have to be willing to say exactly what you're about and be willing to let the wrong people keep doing what they're doing so you can attract the people that you're meant to serve. So you have to be willing to do that and to stand firm on that. All right. So that was the first one. Let me go ahead and acknowledge the comments real quick. I had some comments coming in. Hey, Rochelle. Hey, Stenza. Good to see you both. Thank you for tuning in tonight. So, if you are just coming in, welcome again. Feel free to put any questions that you have for me in the chat. We are talking about why your brand is not working for you tonight. All right. So, any questions that you have as I'm going through this, feel free to just drop it in the comments for me so I can go ahead and address it for you. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Amari. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are awesome. All right. So, let's get to reason number two. All right. Let's go. Reason number two. This goes right along with what we just talked about, right? Having that vague brand messaging. All right. So let's talk about that a little bit. Vague brand messaging. So that basically means that your messaging, I don't want to say the word weak, but your messaging is not as strong as you need it to be, right? And so when your messaging is not clear, when it's too vague, like we were just talking about, you end up confusing people instead of connecting with people. And so weak messaging is kind of vague and it's a little too safe, right? And so it sounds a little something like, well, I help people grow their business, or I do motivational coaching, or I do social media marketing, right? That's great. It's not really memorable, right? It's easy to forget. It's not connecting, and it's definitely not going to convert if it's not connecting. Okay. So people don't remember brands that play it safe. They're just not going to remember it. It is what it is. If your message is not challenging, inspiring, or shifting perspectives in your industry, it's forgettable, period. Your brand is supposed to be a movement, not just a business, right? You're supposed to be standing for something. So how do you fix that? How do you start to edit that? Well, you have to start crafting messaging that is number one, direct, right? Saying exactly who you help and how. So, I help women entrepreneurs package their expertise, right, into premium brands that attract consistent premium clients. Get really specific about what it is that you're doing. It also has to be bold. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. Hear me when I say this about your industry and about what makes you unique. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. And then it also has to be somewhat emotional, right? Because you want to have that emotional connection. So you have to be able to speak to people's frustrations and their desires. Okay. Not just one, but both their frustrations and the desires, the desired outcome that they want. For example, you're tired of blending in, you're tired of being overlooked, you're ready to be seen, respected, paid for the expertise that you offer. Really start to identify what it is that your ideal client is struggling with, right? And what they're wrestling with, what their frustrations are, so you can speak to that. Okay. And then lastly, but certainly not least, you want it to be outcome driven. So focus on the results. So, for example, By working with me, by the end of it, you'll be able to confidently charge premium rates and build the brand influence that you deserve, right? Saying things like that. Don't just be super, super vague and, like, oh, well, it'll be a great experience. No, where's that boldness? Where's that outcome? Let people know exactly what they're getting by working with you. All right. And something I do with my clients personally, like I actually take messaging a step further, right? So I help them to develop what I call their thought leader stances. And so those stances really help them to identify what sets them apart in their industry and the ideas that they're called to change and to shift and to inspire. And then from those stances, we create their thought leader messaging and establish their thought leader pillars. Okay. And that helps to kind of guide their content and their conversations to ensure that they're always positioned as that unique voice in their industry. And so that's basically the thing, right? You wanna make sure your messaging is hitting the target, okay? So if it's not, then that could be one of the reasons why your brand is being overlooked right now, okay? Let me see if there's any questions so far. Okay, Brandy said, "Love it." Okay, thank you, Brandy. Mari said, "Right." Oh, hey, Dwayne, thank you for tuning in. Dwayne said, "Wow, that's good." Appreciate it. Alright, awesome. So let's move on to number 3, right? Number 3, reason number 3. So that is a lack of authority. Okay. Is your brand seen as optional or is it seen as essential? Okay. That's what authority does. It distinguishes you not just as an option, but as something that's essential, somebody that's essential for people to work with. Okay. So this is something that may not be easy for everyone to hear all the time. But one of the things that I stress to my clients all the time is listen, being an expert is not enough. There's a lot of experts out here, right? And I know because I see people that are brilliant, that are qualified entrepreneurs and executives that are constantly struggling to still get booked, while others who may not even be as qualified on paper, right? Or as skilled are dominating their industry. And at one point in my journey, I had to ask myself, well, why is that? Because experts can get overlooked, but thought leaders get booked. Okay, period. Authority is not just about what you know, it's about being visible, it's about being consistent, and it's about being clear in how you show up and prove your expertise. Okay, so how do you fix that? How do you fix your current perception of authority? Number one, and people say this all the time, right? But creating that consistent, valuable content. And I know people like kind of overuse the phrase like, value content, value content, value content. Yeah, that's great. But you need to have different types of content, right? Not just value content that, educates, but also different types of things. Like, you need to also make sure you're on blogs, doing videos, doing social posts, doing workshops, being in environments where you can showcase your expertise, right? All of these different things are important. Okay. Also, showcasing your case studies and your testimonials. If you have social proof, find ways to show that to people. Post those testimonial videos, and if you don't do testimonial videos at this point, something to consider, right? Videos, videos, videos. Get videos of people saying what their experience with you has been like. Nothing sells better than video testimonials, okay? They're more believable because people can actually see what people are saying about you and how they, see if they're genuine or not, right? People believe video a lot more. So video testimonials, definitely recommend those. Also, speaking confidently about your process and your results and how you solve specific problems. Okay. So speak about those things. Let people know like these are the results that you get from working with me. This is my process. This is how I'm able to help you. All right. And then aligning with credible platforms and partnerships. So aligning with people and with platforms that can help to take your exposure to another level, that can help to, help you to collaborate with other respected experts. These are the things that people are looking at, right? When it comes to authority and credibility. And then of course, sharing your thought leadership insights, right? Or your industry leader insights. Because not everybody has a personal brand, so to speak. So either you're a thought leader or an industry leader, whichever category you fall in, right? Sharing those insights that challenge outdated beliefs and that introduce new perspectives in your industry. All right. So don't just stop at positioning yourself as an expert when you can evolve into a thought leader or an industry leader. All right. And industry leaders are basically pioneers, right? People that are leading the way in some innovative path forward. Okay. So the difference is that experts and companies tend to talk about what they know, right? This is what I know focused. But thought leaders and industry pioneers actually define what the industry should be paying attention to. That's the difference, right? That's the distinction. And so thought leaders don't just have knowledge, but they have that positioning that we've been talking about. They take that stance, right? They lead conversations. They own their space, right? They create demand instead of chasing opportunities, right? And they innovate new pathways forward in their industries. So this is exactly what I help my clients to do. I teach authority positioning, right? Thought leadership messaging and brand strategy too. So they're not just in the room, but they're the ones leading the conversations, right? And that's very, very important when it comes to authority because it's not just something that you can claim by saying it, right? You have to demonstrate authority. And it's built brick by brick with consistency, right? Whether it's every valuable piece of content that you post, every testimonial, every strategic partnership and alliance, all these different things come together to position you as the go to leader in your space. All right, so let's do a quick recap here on how to fix some of these issues that we just talked about. Let me make sure I don't have any questions first. Okay. Awesome, awesome. Oh, I do have a question here. All right. So Dwayne said, how personal should testimonies be? I tend to not say too much. I love this question, Dwayne. It's a great question. I'm going to tell you why. When it comes to business, right? You want to be transparent, but like you said, you don't want to say too much, right? So you have to figure out what that balance is for you. My personal advice to you would be talk about the parts of your journey that really speak to where your ideal client is, right? So you want to talk about your hero journey, how you took what you were facing, how you took a challenge or an obstacle and how you overcame it, right? Your hero story. Because that's what people really connect with. They connect with the part of your story that says, "Wow, this person can relate to where I've been, but they chose to overcome it or they found a way to overcome that and now they're able to help me." All right. So figure out which part of your story is your hero story, right? And that's the part that you want to share. You don't have to get too personal and like share like super specific details about your personal business, but say enough to where people can see like, wow, they can relate to my journey. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if that helped you out, okay? But that was a great question. I love it. All right. So let's do a recap of how to fix these three things that we just talked about. All right. So number one, a brand that works does not just look good, but it's positioned well, right? It has strong messaging and it has proven authority and credibility. So here's your formula. Make sure you write this down. Number one, brand identity. Okay. Knowing who you are, who you serve, and what you stand for. Being very clear about your identity as a brand and as a business, right? That's your first component. Second, your messaging. Speak clearly, speak boldly, right? And speak emotionally to the desires and the needs of your audience. All right. And then number three, credibility. Show that proof and be consistent, right? Let your results and your content speak louder than words. All right. So those are your three your three steps there. Brand identity plus messaging plus credibility equals authority positioning. Okay. So when you position your brand strategically for authority, you stop convincing people, right? That constant fight to feel like you're convincing people that you're the best option. You stop convincing and you start attracting. Okay. So that's my recap on the how to fix it for those that may just be coming in. So like I said, guys, if you have a question, get me while you have me, put it in the comments so I can go ahead and answer that for you. All right. So those were the 3 that I had. I'm doing really good on time. I was aiming for about 30 minutes, so that's great. So if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat for me so I can answer some questions for you guys. Because I know that was a lot of information all at once. I wanna make sure I'm addressing any questions you may have. All right? There we go. All right, let me see if I have any questions over here. All right. Dwayne said that's good. All right, awesome, awesome. Love it. Let me check the Instagram real quick. All right, any questions over here? You guys are awesome. I'm loving these comments. All right. I'm not seeing any questions. Get me while you have me, guys. All right. So while you guys are formulating any questions you may have, all right. If this information resonated with you tonight and you would like to learn more about how to position your brand, let's work on your brand together, right? I have something called an alignment call that you can book with me where I actually sit down with you on a call and we kind of go through where you are right now on your brand journey. And I can kind of see where it is that I can help you or what resources and help that I can make available to you, right? So if you need help with your brand right now or you need help with that authority positioning, definitely, definitely, definitely book a call with me so I can sit down, chat it up with you, and we can figure out how to get your brand where it needs to be. Okay? All right. So if you don't have a question, just go ahead and drop in the chat for me. What did you take away from the live tonight? What was one takeaway that you had or one thing that really resonated with you? I want to hear from you guys. Oh, Rochelle said, "Do I make a bio?" Can you clarify what you mean a little bit for me, please? A bio for what specifically? All right. So one takeaway from the live tonight that you want to implement. You're welcome, Stenza. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. All right. One takeaway. Who has a takeaway for me? I'm kind of lingering a bit because I know normally when I get off, people come back with questions. So I'm trying to give it a minute in case anybody has a question for me. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So you're saying, should I make a bio explaining what I do and who I am as a business owner? Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially on your social media, like create a nice bio at the top that really explains in one impactful sentence who you are, who you serve, and how you do it. Okay? So I definitely recommend doing that. Stenza said her takeaway was it's not enough to be an expert, you need to set the standard. I know that's right. I know that's right. All right. Ephraim said, how is personal brand different from your business services? So I get this question a lot. Um, oh, sorry, I have another comment coming in. Okay. So personal branding, right? Personal branding is branding yourself, right? As the person. And a lot of times this is important because you are literally the first point of contact that people are going to have with your brand. And so having a strong personal brand is really helpful because people subscribe to you, right? And in subscribing to you, they subscribe to your business, right? And so when your personal brand is strong, it really helps to drive growth and drive people traffic to your business. I'll put it that way. That's a simple way of putting it, right? So personal brand has more so to do with the person behind the company and then you have your business, your corporate brand. Okay. So that's the simplest way I can explain the difference for you. All right. Somebody else said, my takeaway was be more specific about what you're promoting. Yes, being specific is key. The more specific you are, the easier it is to really target exactly who you want to serve and to help. Okay. All right. Awesome. I love this. Thank you, you guys. This is awesome. All right. If you're just coming in, feel free to catch the replay. I'm just answering some questions right now at the end. Anybody else have a question for me or a takeaway from tonight's live? Loving the feedback. Thank you all so much. Yes, love it. Okay. Oh, she said, how do I create the background? How do I create the background picture? So I'm using StreamYard right now. So StreamYard, they have some virtual backgrounds that you can use if you wanted to change the background on your screen. So if you use StreamYard and you go to your settings, they have some virtual backgrounds that you can choose from. So if you want this particular background, you can definitely sign up for StreamYard and use the backgrounds that they have. I don't mind. I don't mind giving the tools. All right. Awesome. Thank you. He said, I love your definition of being a thought leader. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. But yeah, thought leadership, that's definitely where it is for me. That's definitely who I'm called to serve, and I'm here for it. Michelle said, thank you. You're so welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Okay. I'm going to give it like maybe 2 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions or takeaways, feel free to drop it in the comments for me. And I'm going to put the link to the alignment call in the comments when I get off of here. So if you guys want to book a call with me, you'll be able to find the link to do so. Okay. All right. Awesome. Oh, good. See, that's what I love to hear. Thank you. I'm so glad that it helped. That's the whole point of doing this. I wanted to make sure that I was giving some useful information. So thank you. I'm so glad it helped you. So glad it helped you. All right. Okay. Last call for questions, comments, takeaways. I know it kind of takes a second to pop up, so I'm giving it a minute. All right. Awesome. You're so welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, everybody. Well, that's what I had for tonight for why your brand isn't working for you. If you're just coming in, don't worry. There will be a replay, so you'll be able to catch that and jot down some notes for everything that I said tonight. If you RSVP'd on my website for this live, be on the lookout in your inbox because I'm going to be sending you a questionnaire with a lot of the questions that I discussed tonight and some more things that you can use to apply to your business. So that way you can really start making it more personal and customized and start implementing some of the things that we talked about tonight. Okay, so be on the lookout in your inbox for that questionnaire. And if you would like a copy of the questionnaire and you didn't have a chance to RSVP, just inbox me and I can try to get a copy of that to you. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope this was useful. I hope it was beneficial. And feel free to go back and watch the replay if you need to take notes or revisit something that I said tonight. Okay. But all right, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in.